Just one piece of evidence coming out of a major trial in downtown St. Louis tonight. 3 white city police officers are accused of beating this man who was an undercover officer during a protest in 2017.
People started saying, hey, we're going to burn down St. Louis City. We would create our own Ustream account and dress up as protesters and walk with the protesters. We would film the protesters breaking windows, and then we'd send that information to arresting officers. However, after 3 or 4 days of that nonsense, we were still down there. Everyone was working, 18-hour days, very, very long days. And there was some major issues with some police officers that just got fed up and started whooping people's asses for no reason. And Luther got caught up in that and was assaulted by some people from the arrest teams. And they eventually lied about it. And there was an investigation with the FBI that we were, obviously Luther and I were involved in, and they subsequently 4 officers were fired, and 3 of which went to prison. My name is Louis Nays, and I am in South Patrol Division of Problem Properties. So I've been a policeman for 23 years. I've been assigned to District 9. That was my first assignment. And then from District 9, I requested to go to District 5, which is up north. Because where I was initially assigned, that was the Central West End. And it wasn't a lot of action. I wasn't getting much out of being a policeman in the middle of the Central West End. When I was talking to all of my friends who were assigned up north, they were dealing with homicides and robberies and doing a lot of stuff that I initially wanted to do as a younger police officer. So as soon as I was able to switch districts, I requested to switch districts, so then I went to District 5. It's a dangerous job too. I mean, it is very, very dangerous. So I would have to look at it, but there's probably been over 10 to maybe 15 police officers in my 23 years that have passed away, just city police officers. And I can't say that I've known them all, but I've been associated with them in one way or another. And it's shocking because the way they were killed, it's like I've done that same thing. Whether it be on the highway or trying to make an arrest and someone grabs their gun and shoots them, in cold blood, it's like, yeah, I've done that, and that could have been me. So I always think about that.
So my name is Daniel Schulte. I was assigned to the 4th District, which is the downtown district. I was in the bike unit. I was a sergeant. I retired in 2018. So there are a lot of jobs that are dangerous, but being a cop, I've been run over. I've been more fights than you can imagine. I had my shoulder all torn up in a fight. I had some friends, I buried friends. I had some friends that, died in line of duty.
Well, there's a couple reasons. I knew I was right around 25, and I knew that, like I said before, I wasn't going to fit into a normal 9-to-5 job. And I wanted to just experience just a different way of working.
When I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a cop. And so I never really outgrew that. So I majored in criminal justice at the University of Dayton. I went there because they had a pretty good criminal justice program. But again, I always wanted to be a cop. That's something I always wanted to do, and I never kind of outgrew it. So I got on in 1997 when I got to the academy in November. There were 1,450 cops in the city of St. Louis. Now, as of last week, there are less than 900 cops in the city of St. Louis. So it's 550 cops less. For a city with murders around 200 homicides, 150 to 200 homicides a year, it's a lot. Per capita, the crime rate in St. Louis City is very high. And just the amount of cops on the street that are patrolling, that are driving around, looking for crime, for gangbangers, for robbers, for burglars, and general ne'er-do-wells. they're not out there doing it. There's no one really patrolling. All you're doing then is being reactive, not being proactive, and so crime is kind of take it over. So the numbers have really, really dropped down in the last, almost 30 years.
So we have to do a better job at recruitment, but since recruitment's so low right now, it's a challenge because we're going to take anybody because we need to fill cars. This negative view of law enforcement, and that created some pause with people that wanted to go into law enforcement and say, fuck, that could have been me. I'm thinking about going to law enforcement and wait a minute, why would I get paid $50,000 a year? And then now all of a sudden I'm on CNN. And then I have to, be processed, get booked, and then have to pay for an attorney to get me out of trouble. And then my whole name is completely tarnished for the rest of my life. I've got to change my name, I got to change where I live. Now, that's why I think we had a really sharp decline in recruitment within the police department. I think we just graduated a class of 6 or 8. I got in the department with maybe, like I said, 33 or 38. Now they're doing 6 or 8. And we had 3 classes in the academy of 30 plus recruits. Now there's maybe 1 class a year, 2 classes a year with 6 or 8. But like I said, we are our own worst enemy. So that we have to do a better job at speaking up and saying, hey, this guy's not going to cut it. We got to get him out. But this guy's going to end up being the lawsuit. He's going to put a black eye on our police department, and we can't have that.
A lot of negative connotations after the protests with Michael Brown and Stockley, and then George Floyd in Milwaukee. There's a lot of anti-police rhetoric. Defund the police was a big thing, and so people are like, why? Why would I want to have a job that no one likes? Like, no one likes what I do. No one values law enforcement. Like, I grew up valuing, if a cop said do something, that man had respect. If you lose all respect for law enforcement, then so a lot of people just don't want to be cops anymore. If I had I have a son, and if you were going to be a cop, I would try to talk him on. I'd do something else. Be a fireman. Get in business. Be a teacher. Anything, but be a cop, because it's just it's not worth the pain. If the citizens and the media and the politicians don't want you to do it, then why?
And a lot of times it's like, well, why would you do this job for $50,000 or $60,000 a year? There was a sense of camaraderie when I got on the department. It was just so fun. And it was just so many different types of people. And so it was just, the camaraderie was epic. But now it's just like, you see it and it's like, no, there's none of that. Because I think it just, the media really did a number on law enforcement. So I think the media has really portrayed, I think it was just the talking point or the flavor of the day of how bad police officers were. And hey, I was smack dab in the middle of all this, and there were some bad police officers. But again, there are some times I think the media just gets things so wrong, and they over exaggerate just so they can get those likes and so they can get subscribers, and they, I think, embellish a lot of things. But yeah, the Michael Brown movement, I was in Ferguson during that time. We did work the riots. Luther and I, we were working the riots, and the things that we saw and how the media portrayed how bad and negative police officers were just laughable. And I remember watching Don Lemon give a broadcast, and Luther were right. We were just cracking up because we were like, hey, isn't that Don Lemon? We listened to his broadcast, and we're like, dude, what an idiot. Again, I don't remember what he said. I remember Luther and I just completely laughing at him. And we were like, what the fuck did he just say? What an idiot. Like, what an asshole. Why was he saying that? And it was just completely off base. It's always on the back of my mind why I chose to stay here. So it for younger officers, it's something, especially now, because the pay gap between St. Louis County or some of those smaller munis, it's pretty extreme. and it's more so now than ever before. I think the city in a part has always been in somewhat a state of decline. I think now we're kind of seeing that being exacerbated because of some of the movements like the Black Lives Matter movements and the pay gap. Why would someone who would be a great police officer and just a shining example of being a police officer want to deal with being there when you can get paid $50,000, $60,000 more be either a federal agent or being in Creve Court? It's simple economics. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's an easy decision for someone.
Yeah, you can always pay it, but pay's not going to solve all the issues, right? You can't pay a cop $200,000 a year. You can't pay him $100,000 a year. Not in this city. There's no tax base. There's no money for it. It's your taxes got to be raised to pay it. Taxes are really high in certain areas. So you just got to make it a valued job. You gotta support it. You gotta pay it to make it worth it. So maybe pay is going to help. There's a state senators trying to get, like, if you're a cop, you get free college. They'll pay for your college at Upsall or some state school. Those kind of benefits help, right? And then if you're a kid of a cop, you get that free education. That's a big benefit, right? But something like that would be huge, right? So if I know that if my son can go to college for free, would I stay around being a cop longer? Probably. It's those are good benefits. You got to make it worthwhile. You got to support those who need support, and get rid of those who don't need. It's hard, but you got to make the job just worth having. And sometimes right now, when you have the big defund the police movement, it's really hard when people say, I've been told to fuck the police too many damn times. During protests, I had people say some things that I won't even repeat on camera because it was some of the nastiest, cruel things I've ever heard. And I had to sit there and take it. And people disparaging your wife and your kids and saying they're going to do certain things, it hurts.